I've gotten to the point where I don't care for shooting in the daytime any longer. But I came home and I found this box at my door, and I wanted to share with you, of course, the unveiling, as always. Some people in some film groups online slag the unboxing rituals for all kinds of reasons. Because if there's any reason even conceivable to slag something online, then it'll be put forth as a reason to slag something online. So, oh, by the way, anyway, to me, they're rituals. They're enjoyable. I like watching other people's, and hopefully, someone enjoys watching mine. So this item is another remnant of the Arrow Video Spring Sale that ran, I believe, from March 1st to 14th. So these represent the first purchases that I've been able to make for myself, completely for myself, and for the channel by myself in a long time, without any additional sponsors or benefactors. There may have been one or two inexpensive ones in there somewhere, but honestly, I'm on my own on this one. I had an improvement to my financial woes, an unexpected one, but one I'm very grateful for. But that is for another time. But it enabled me to take advantage of this sale. The other thing is a thing called credit. During last year's financial woes, my credit cards my credit was ruined once more. It had been terrible. I had been building it, and now it's horrible. I do have one bank card. That's an actual credit card, but my bank knows where to find me. All the others were charged off. They're either gone in oblivion, or they're going to send me, letters every so often and say, you owe about $1,000 on this when it ended, and give it to us. And I cannot manifest that money out of thin air. If I could, I would never have gotten into this situation in the first place. So, in any case, the upside to all that was not only was everything on this Arrow Spring Sale 1/2 off of its suggested retail price. That's not 1/2 off the Amazon, price matching, retail price, which Arrow expressed that a lot of people were complaining to them about. But I mean, I get it. I'm in retail. I'm a collector. Okay, so the way it works. And I do have PayPal credit from these years of working with PayPal on my eBay store. So you can, basically pay something in 4 installments. I think I did buy something one other time for the channel. Oh yeah, I think one of the Shaw scopes I purchased in that fashion. So it took me a while to pay it off, but they didn't make me pay the whole amount up front. So I'm good with that. So this is kind of what happened. I made the first order, and then I'm like, oh wow, I have enough money left over to survive for this month. So I made 2 further orders. This is the first one, and I'm going to enjoy these while they can. These will be a great balm when life becomes difficult, watching these wonderful movies, and they will be fodder for this channel for review now that it's officially a podcast, or however that works. For the podcast, which I have big plans for of another nature, but they're too far off. I'll announce them when something crystallizes. Anyway, like I said, I'm not used to doing this in the day, so it's a little weird. But the light is shining directly on this box, so that must be Fate itself, not Dr. Fate, who we discussed a couple of episodes ago. All right. And I have some scissors that might help me get this. My X-Acto knife broke. Yeah. A guy who ships out comic books and boards and does art projects, his X-Acto knife broke. So maybe with some of, my finances being better, I can order a cheap X-Acto knife on Amazon. So I've droned on enough. Let's get into this. So we have 3, it looks like we have 3 individual Blu-rays and a box set. So as you can see, I'm opening this. There's no magic tricks here. This isn't the Wizard of Gore. I got the Gorgor girls in the last order. That was close enough. So I'm putting these three together because I want to talk about them first, because I know what they are. And this box set we're going to leave for the last because it's going to take the longest to wait through. I'm not going to read all the info in the back like I usually do. I'm just going to show these to you. They're completely shrink wrapped. Total first impressions of the Blu-rays, and of course, a couple of thoughts about the movies themselves. So this is The Addiction by Abel Ferrara, one of my favorite filmmakers. Yeah, man. Abel Ferrara, what can you say? No, that was a joke that I made on my last broadcast about my ex-wife's defunct website, which I did do my first video reviews on. They were very poor, but you can find them on this channel if you want to chuckle. And you won't be able to see me because the lighting is horrid. It makes this look like Vittorio Storaro or Robert Richardson. So anyway, this is a vampire film. I don't think they use the V word at any point in the movie, much like Near Dark or Ganja and Hess. They count on you having a little brain here of your own. So maybe that's too much to ask for some viewers. This movie was not exactly a hit, but it was part of a great wave of movies in the 1990s. I think we can chalk a lot of the 90s indie thing into the enormous success of people like, obviously, Quentin Tarantino, but also Robert Rodriguez and Kevin Smith, all of them alumni of the Weinstein Factory, which now, of course, is like a badge of shame upon those filmmakers in certain circles, and even upon some of the films they brought into the world. Well, I don't see things that way. I can separate the art from the artist. I don't believe Kevin Smith was churning out, chasing Amy with the intention of promoting any of Harvey's proclivities toward SA, as they call it on Facebook. YouTube, now they call it SA because of the algorithmic problems that are involved with censorship. I'm just going to say it's sexual assault. That's what SA stands for. I don't watch a lot of true crime channels, and when I first heard that, they're like, and then she was essayed, and I'm like, so what does that mean? Somebody wrote an essay about her, asked her to write an essay? These are dire times. The Addiction, that was really incredible. It's in black and white, and I would compare it to another indie film from that era it was really low budget, that David Lynch helped produce, called Nausea, which I reviewed this past Halloween or Halloween before last, I don't remember, on this channel. If it continues to be lost between media and not have a Blu-ray release, I'll probably end up doing an Extreme Forgotten episode focusing solely on that. I did an episode with Nausea, and I forgot the movie I paired it with. But Nausea is also a black and white, lower budget, contemporary vampire film. Of course, they do use the word vampire in Nausea because Nausea is rich with the lore of Bram Stoker, albeit kind of alchemized into a very postmodern venue, fashion. It's just, I love Nausea. But anyway, I love The Addiction too. There's some great stuff in here. And the ever overlooked actor Paul Calderone has a really small-ish but key role. And you see him in two iterations, pre-vampire and, here comes the spoilers, post-vampire. And he is just killing it, man. And there's also this hip-hop rap guy. I don't know if the guy is a rapper in real life, the actor, but he's another one of the vampiric victims. And when he emerges as a vamp, let's just put it this way: the incredible final scene is Eat the Rich, except it's drain their blood. I'll do a full-fledged review of this. It warrants it. Obviously, it has a bunch of extras that I haven't even perused, but this movie's got a lot to say, and it says it in a way that's, yes, very dark and grim as per Ferrara, but also, to me, very humorous and satirical, because Lily Taylor is like this eager philosophy student in college, and Paul Calderone is this kind of pompous professor, and, eventually along comes Annabella Sciorra, who's been in tons of Ferrara's films, and I believe she's the one who turns young Lily. And so all these, allegories and metaphors of vampirism and the addiction, are explored. I believe this film was, I don't believe it was not written by Zoe Tamerlis Lund, who wrote The Bad Lieutenant for Ferrara and been a long-time collaborator. She's now deceased. Rest in peace, though. Of course, she is iconic for being Ms. 45, my favorite Ferrara film. But her influence is definitely felt in this, along with the usual kind of Christopher St. John kind of Catholicism, intellectualism versus superstition. And, to me, this is kind of like a more modern, it's 25 years old now, a more modern Ganja and Hess. I'm not saying it's as good as Ganja and Hess, or it's, stylistically the same, but to me, they're both deconstructions of the vampire mythos, using things that are relevant to the society and the cultures in which they took place. So, oh yeah, Christopher Walken's in it too. He's amazing. You can probably guess what he plays. Audition. Takshi Miike. This was not the first Miike I saw. That was City of Lost Souls, which I was a little disappointed in because of the hype around Miike at that time. And I was hyped by people whose opinions I actually trusted. But there were some comparisons to Tarantino and post-Tarantino films by a Japanese director who was very prolific and weird and started, making movies in his 30s on TV and, churned out movies. And of course, by now he's done probably 100 more. But this was like 2001, I believe. And I think this was right after City of Lost Souls. I could have the timeline wrong. It could be the other way around. But I bought Unseen, The City of Lost Souls. And, it was stylish, but I thought, it's one of his lesser crime films. I would definitely watch it again, but I sold the DVD quite a long time ago. The second Miike that I purchased, also Unseen, was Happiness of the Katakuris, which is on my long list of Arrow videos. It's something I really want. Arrow has an edition of that. And that's a remake. That is a Japanese remake of a South Korean film called The Quiet Family from, I believe, 1999. So it was remade a handful of years later from Korea to Japan. It's almost like Hollywood does, and it's known for having like Choi Min-sik and I'm gonna get this guy's name, Kang. I don't mean Kang, the really cool guy in the Ant-Man movie played by Jonathan Majors, the villain. I mean Kang, the actor. I can't remember his first name, but he's the actor who starred in Parasite. He's been in Miike movies. He's been in, he was a star of Park Chan-wook's amazing Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. He was incredible in Snowpiercer by Bong Joon-ho, who also did Parasite. He's in all of his movies. And he's always different. But, he was in The Quiet Family. When I finally saw The Quiet Family, I thought, this is funny as hell. And the things that Miike did with the concept, I don't know, it's really a pleasure watching the two of them. I should watch them as a double feature. So let's get on to Audition, the third one I bought when I worked at Borders, and I'd heard it was like super extreme and unbearable. So finally I was going to see a Miike that, Katakuris was very surreal. So that was I was starting to get his sensibility. But this one is much different than those two films and from a lot of his films. It's very tight. It's very hermetic. It's very, when I say it's tight and hermetic, it's a coiled thriller. It doesn't compromise that thing I mentioned a couple of episodes ago that I first heard from an unmentionable ex-friend of mine, that unity of effect, especially as pertaining to horror literature, horror cinema. And I appreciate him introducing me to that idea. So this one has that, an unity effect. In other words, everything from the beginning to the end is a necessary detail that is spinning you on and on and on towards the final, towards the climax and the denouement. It's lean. There's no, guys standing on the street corner, hanging out, talking about what their favorite movies are. Tarantino is like he's like the anti-unity of effect. I need to make a term for him. He's like what the shattering of effect. I don't know, the dispersal of effect, the diaspora of effect. But this one embodies that particular approach, and so it's incredibly powerful. Very little humor. Uh, it for this early quote unquote in his career, as in before he was really internationally known. Uh, it's the most uh, it has the best production values. It's the most mainstream looking film of his up to that point. It's extremely well shot. I mean, arguably, City of Lost Souls was a more mainstream kind of action film with some eccentricities, but this one. So, who doesn't know the story of this movie? I'll do a review, but quickly, Ryo Kobayashi, I think, is the star. He was also incredible in Suicide Club, which still isn't on Blu-ray. Yes, I'll try to do an episode of Extreme Forgotten on that one. My favorite, Sion Sono, still, and I follow him pretty closely. To me, Sono and Miike are like my go-to for every new movie they do. It'll at least be interesting, at least be worth checking out, if not great. It's sometimes like recent Miike that I enjoyed was First Love, which I've also reviewed on this channel. He's probably done 20 films since then. But yeah, so our man here, he's lonely, he's widowed, he's got kind of a non-obnoxious teenage son. Rare, it wouldn't be that way in the American film. The kid would be, wisecracking every 2 seconds about his dad's inability to get laid. I better not give anybody watching this ideas. An off chance it gets out to whoever is going to remake this movie, because it's going to be remade. It's amazing it hasn't been remade in America, but I'm happy for it. But anyway, this guy is, he's kind of in the entertainment business in some certain capacity I've forgotten. And he and his buddy / coworker are like, let's just hold auditions for girls for these parts. But actually, they'll be auditioning for your wife. In other words, you'll learn about them, like a beauty pageant. They'll say the things that inspire them and reveal things about themselves, and of course you'll check out how beautiful they are, etc. So I don't believe the main character is in any way a misogynist or even a sexist, but it's a pretty sexist premise, and that fuels the the twists that are very the twists. You'll get this if you've seen the movie. They're very twisty and very dark and very, very vicious. So anyway, this character Asami Yamazaki. I forgot the actress's name. Who this is Asami Yamazaki. She's become kind of an iconic femme fatale, a Black Widow, not related to Marvel. Female dealer in death kind of character, and rightfully so. I think she is definitely a modern iconic character. It's can only, it's like when the movie Snuff was released in America in the 1970s. It had an ad campaign and it said, filmed in South America where life is cheap, and paraphrases of the poster were a film that could only be filmed in South America where life is cheap. Well, I had a friend who misread the poster at the time, and he said, yeah, man, it says it can only be filmed in the South where life is cheap. And he meant here. No, it's the wrong continent, but you're on the right track. This can only be filmed in Japan because it just, you have to see it. So, okay, the next movie is Always Vanilla. Yes, I'm back on a Romero kick. Again, another underrated and widely disliked Romero film, much like Season of the Witch, that I just covered in depth in its own episode. This one immediately precedes Season of the Witch, and Raymond Lane, who my dear friend Tim McLean, in support of the channel, Tim McLean compared to Chuck Barris and said he got on his nerves in Season of the Witch. I do get the Chuck Barris comparison of Raymond Lane, the actor in Season of the Witch, and in this. He's the lead male actor in this. He has a more substantive role as the love interest to Vanilla. No, her name's not really Vanilla. But his name's Chris, and the model is named Lynn. And Lynn is Judith Striner, or Judith Ridley, who played Judy in Night of the Living Dead. So she's the one who's kind of denim hippie, and she's got a kind of a average Joe boyfriend Tom, and they're going to help Ben get to the gas station and get that damn key, and unfortunately Tom gets freaked out and drops too much gas and gets in the truck, and Ben's like trying to warn him, just like Peter tries to warn Roger, look out, man, look out, when Roger gets his, uh, it's horrible. Anyway, that's in Dawn of the Dead, but it's a similar idea. Ben's like, come on, man, you can do it, but they can't. And because Judy, of course, plot device, oh, my jacket's caught. That's one of the only corny things to me in that movie, but it's effective because it's not just like, oh, my jacket's caught, so boom, and that's it, and Ben's like, no, then you get the first protracted feasting scene in a Romero zombie film. They all have them, where the movie just kind of stops and slows down, and there's this grotesque, detailed, fairly realistic, nothing left to the imagination. It's like a dinner party for the zombies. They're like, here's lunch, man. Kind of like in Cannibal Apocalypse when Giovanni or Lombardo Radici in an interview he said there's a scene where they saw off part of this person's leg with a handsaw, but electric handsaw, and they're like, why are we taking that with us? And asking, I guess, Margheriti, the director, what's the point? They're on the run, these four characters who become cannibals, not willingly, and Radici says, well, I guess we're going to have a cannibal picnic later, and so you got to have some spare meat, man. So anyway, this movie is kind of flat and slow to a lot of people. I will read you briefly this synopsis. When young drifter Chris meets beautiful model Lynn by a chance occurrence, the pair hit it off and a romantic relationship ensues, but with their wildly contrasting outlooks on life, it soon becomes clear that the coupling is doomed from the outset. This is not a horror movie. It's kind of a comedy. It's kind of a drama. And of course, it's got tons of social allegory. It is of its time, but I don't think that's a negative. It's a calm film. It's a character-based film. It's not to everyone's, despite the title, it's not to everyone's taste, this vanilla. So, but I happen to kind of adore it, I will say. And Raymond Lane, just so my friend Tim will know if he doesn't already, much less obnoxious in this movie than in Season of the Witch. Still Chuck Barris-esque, though. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. And I want to address something, again, no one will, get it or anything, but I just want to put it out there. I posted my review of Season of the Witch on one of the many film groups I'm on Facebook, as I always do. And this guy said, why the hell is Season of the Witch on Blu-ray? 3 question marks. This is ridiculous. Even the Anchor Bay DVD says that a lot of the film elements are irreparable and damaged. It looks like shit, and it's meant to, because that's how I like it. The Blu-ray, that's ridiculous. And I was like, okay, so don't react to this. This is trolling, don't put a like or a laughter on it like I wanted to, And so far, none of the moderators or group members have reacted to it. It's one of those, this man is desperately crying for attention. He has an axe to grind against the very medium of Blu-ray because he has less than zero understanding about anything to do with film restoration. And he should really just go fuck himself rather than sit around on Facebook second guessing people who are, good-naturedly posting restorations of movies he likes so much. So anyway, we're going to get to the last one here. This one I've wanted for an aeon. One of my very first videos, post She Never Slept on this channel, but pre, the current era since 2020 when I got down to this show and just basically doing videos regularly and taking it more seriously. I did a few unboxing ones then, and one was the Stray Cat Rock series, Japanese girl gang series starring Miike Kaji, who, of course, is iconic for playing Lady Snowblood, but, has played numerous characters, and this is probably arguably her second most famous character. And it's really one of the films in here I saw before I saw Lady Snowblood. So this is Arrow's female prisoner Scorpion, the complete collection, adorned with their, I loved all their new artwork they commissioned. They put the original artwork inside for the purists, but I really like the way they and Criterion, and to a lesser extent Shop Factory, do these reinterpretive new posters. I think it brings it into a new generation, a new audience, repurposes it, and bottom line, help sell it to younger people who otherwise would have no clue who this character or what these movies would be. And they need to. Everyone needs to. So there are special contents, but it's these 4 movies. Female Prisoner number 701, Scorpion. The debut of Scorpion, or Sasori, the Japanese word for Scorpion. That's what she's known as in prison. She's basically, wrongly accused of a crime, tossed into a women's prison. This is the early 70s, so of course there's all kinds of nudity and violence and torture and torment. So, it's definitely a cousin of its American counterparts. But these movies go way farther than, say, The Big Bird Cage, which I love. That's my favorite women in prison film of all time. It goes a lot farther, not only in the extremities of it, content-wise, but in the artistry of it, the craft of it. I mean, I'm going to say something that probably someone will go, he's racist saying this, but it's a compliment. I believe that Asian filmmakers of all stripes, directors, actors, cast, crew, with some exceptions, for this kind of material, have always been on a technical level far more precise, put more caring and more craftsmanship into their work than their American or European or British counterparts. Now, to an extent, Italy's the same way. They're able to get a lot of production value out of very little money. But the Japanese, there's an aesthetic. It's like a work ethic. So here's where someone's going to tell me I'm racist. Asian friends, is that racist to say that? I admire it. I respect it. It's not like Hollywood. And I think it's one reason that Japanese films, and especially in recent years, South Korean films, have become so well loved as exports because of this kind of quality. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Sorry, I'm not a racist. Jesus. Female Prisoner Scorpion Jailhouse 1, which was also known as Female Convict Scorpion Jailhouse 1. It was released by American Cinematique on DVD. And I had heard vaguely of this character in these movies, but it came out by itself, not none of the other entries before or after it came out. But this one came out on DVD around 2000, and I worked at Borders at the time, and I bought it. It had one of those old cardboard snap cases, which had a really long, detailed essay. I think it was by Chris D., the guy who used to write incredible articles on Japanese film for the magazine Cult Movies. I'm pretty sure that's who wrote it. And by the way, Travis Crawford is deceased. I'm sorry I got that wrong in my last video. Tim McLean pointed out to me. I don't know if I just totally forgot or I just never found out or what. So I feel weird saying, yeah, I hope one day we can talk more about movies. But that stands. Depending on your spiritualist beliefs or esoteric or occultist beliefs, of which I don't want to call them beliefs, but interests, quite a few that manifest, pun intended, in Flickr Street, my story. Perhaps one day Travis and I will talk about films again. So, in any case, I think Chris D did the notes to this, and he might still be alive. I don't know. Third one is called Female Prisoner Scorpion, Beast Stable, and the last one is Female Prisoner Scorpion, Grudge Song. So these last two, Jailhouse 41, I think it was infamous because it was a lot. They don't have all the same directors on all four. That one was particularly raw, and it kind of was a little reminiscent of the work of Koji Wakamatsu, who did Violated Angels, which I still have not seen. But he was a really raw, rough and tumble, lower on the craft scale Japanese filmmaker from the early 70s. He was also like a political dissident and radical and a pornographer. And around the same time I bought the American Cinematique version of Jailhouse 41, I also bought their issue of Ecstasy of the Angels by Wakamatsu, and it's crazy. You know, I definitely want to explore his work more. I have a couple of his movies that I burnt from Rare Lust, and I call it the Great Burn. You know, I think Star Trek Discovery ripped me off for that term, but the Great Burn was when I burned like 300 films, you know, in 2 months, and you know, bought software, bought CD cases, bought covers, slips of paper, the blank DVDs, and even an external burner. And my roommate at the time thought I was crazy because, you know, I wasn't rich or anything, but I was very depressed because my fiance had just left. I was shattered. So in order to lose myself, I did two things. I created Flickr Street Studio, and I did a shitload of new artwork, or finished old artwork. And then I began that project, that Rare Lust project. And, you know, it costs money to get the software, to get all the materials I mentioned, and to be part of the whatever club to get the access to burn all of Rare Lust's library. So, but I got 300 films. And when I calculated it doing long division, like the old school way, the total cost of each completed DVD with one or more films on it, usually one, and the case and everything, including everything I just mentioned, was 75 cents a piece. So where can you get 300 movies for 75 cents a piece? Rare as fuck, most of them. Most of them you've never seen but always wanted to see. A lot you've never heard of, and you burned them. So I've got, that's, even though I'm selling my pre-recorded DVDs on eBay, those are DVDs that are, it's a little sub-library of the big permanent Blu-ray library. And so I think I have a Wakamatsu. I have a few crazy Japanese, like Pinky and Pinku Iga kind of films. And you can look that up if you don't know. Pinky Roman and, you know, basically harsh sex kind of films. So I was going to slice this open and look at every single one. I probably should, but I don't want to keep you guys. So I'm just going to keep you guessing, and I'll probably just do a review of the box another time. I won't do a unboxing, unwrapping. But I am going to unwrap it myself. I'm not going to do it on camera. So we'll get started, though. But, you know, as far as talking about what all the special features are, what the movies are, what they're, you know, individually about, all about that same character and those same general exploitation themes. And see, I can just go ahead and show you. So it's Female Prisoner Scorpion 701. This was what started it all. This has new art. It looks like the same artist who did the covers to their box set of the Battles Without Honor and Humanity series. And this is the one I was talking about. No, this is the last one. I gotta flip around. This is the second one, the first one I ever purchased. I had all these on DVD at one time, but the others came out later on Media Blasters, on Tokyo Shock label. So this is a Female Convict. See, I'm still gonna call it that. Female Prisoner Scorpion, Jailhouse 41. This is, in some ways, you know, you never forget your first. So that's still my favorite. Beast Stable, and that artwork, by the way, is what I used for the cover of that box. Beast Stable, the third movie. I'll just go ahead and stop saying the whole long name. And this is Grudge Song, which is pretty intense, if I remember correctly. They're all pretty intense. And I'm so happy to have these as a companion to the incredible Stray Cat Rock set, which I believe is 5 movies starring Michael Kaji. And there's some other great actresses in here. And I really feel bad that I've forgotten who directed these. And my eyes are so bad, I still don't have reading glasses. I haven't replaced my reading glasses. I lost like 3 years ago. And I've never had prescription glasses. So just trying to read this, struggling to read this, I can't tell you who directed what. But I want to say Hasebe directed a couple. He did a few of the Stray Cat Rock. Yasuharu Hasebe. He has an aesthetic that's somewhere in between Taro Ishii and Koji Wakamatsu. I'm just name dropping if you're not familiar with these cats. you should be. There's a thing called Google. But if you are, I feel brotherhood and kinship and sisterhood with you. Well, you'll be the sister, I'll be the brother. Or like Motorhead, I'll be your sister. So I'm going to go. Thank you for listening. I'm keeping my vow to keep my videos somewhat short and tight, and love you guys.